Did you know it took about 20,000 workers 27 years to build the largest pyramid in Egypt? That's nearly 800 workers per year, or about 33 workers per day. If you want to learn more about the pyramids of Egypt, keep watching. Welcome to our channel, where we bring you new videos every week about archaeology, history, and current events. But what did these workers eat? How did they live? And what kind of work did they do to build such massive structures? Keep watching. We all know the pyramids of Egypt are some of the most mysterious and majestic structures ever built. One thing that has always amazed me is how each brick was cut so precisely. And there are over 2 million bricks in the Great Pyramid of Giza alone. Well, let's clear up there right now. Bricks weren't actually used in the construction of any of the pyramids. The ancient Egyptians used huge blocks of stone, limestone, and granite. In fact, each block weighs between 2 and 3 tons. So how could those primitive humans lift such heavy stones and stack them on top of each other without any advanced equipment? Well, the answer is pretty simple. They used ramps. The Egyptians would start by digging a long ditch leading up to the future site of the pyramid. Then they would fill the ditch with dirt and level it out. This created a ramp that led up to the base of the pyramid. After laying the first few layers of stone, they would repeat the process, moving the ramp up as they went. The entire structure was designed with a slight incline so that the center of gravity was always over the base, preventing it from falling over. The pyramids of Egypt were built during the Old Kingdom period, which lasted from around 2686 to 2181 BC. This was the age of the pharaohs, and they ruled over a vast empire that stretched from the Mediterranean Sea to the Nubian Desert. During this time, Egypt was one of the richest and most powerful civilizations in the world. The pharaohs were considered to be divine rulers, and they had absolute power over their subjects. They built huge complexes of temples and tombs to honor themselves and their ancestors. The first Egyptian pyramids were built around 4,500 years ago in the Giza Plateau near the capital city of Memphis. The plateau quickly became the final resting place for many of the pharaohs, including Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure. There are still some secrets of the pyramids that have yet to be uncovered. For example, archaeologists are still trying to figure out how the Egyptians transported the massive blocks of stone from the quarries to the building site. They're also trying to understand how the pyramids aligned so accurately with the cardinal directions. In recent years, scientists have made some amazing discoveries about the pyramids that have shed new light on their construction. For example, they've discovered that the Egyptians used copper tools to cut and shape the stone blocks. They also found evidence that the pyramids were built in stages, with each layer being carefully planned out in advance. Most surprisingly, scientists have found that the Egyptians used a sophisticated system of ramps and levers to raise the stones to the top of the pyramids. This is truly amazing when you think about it. The Egyptians were able to move stones weighing several tons to the top of a pyramid without using any modern equipment. They simply used basic tools and a lot of manpower. It is important to note that the Egyptians didn't just build the pyramids as tombs for their pharaohs. They also built them as a symbol of their power and wealth. The pyramids were visible for miles, and they served as a reminder to other civilizations of the strength of Egypt. Today, the pyramids are one of the most popular tourist destinations in the world. Millions of people visit Egypt each year to see these amazing structures for themselves. Now that we know a bit more about the pyramids, let's take a look at who built them. Contrary to what many people believe, the pyramids were not built by slaves. Evidence has shown that the Egyptians actually paid their workers to help build the pyramids. Some of the workers were full-time employees of the pharaoh, while others were volunteers who were given time off from their regular jobs to help build the pyramids. The Egyptians believed that helping to build a pyramid was an honor and a privilege, and they were proud to put their name on the project. The Egyptians kept detailed records of the workers who helped build the pyramids. These records show that the workers were paid in goods and services, such as food, clothing, and housing. The Egyptians also gave the workers gifts of money and jewelry to reward their hard work. Some of the workers were even given land as a reward for their service. The Egyptians believed that helping to build a pyramid was a great honor, and they treated the workers accordingly. The workers were not enslaved, but rather they were paid for their work and given gifts and rewards for their service. Today, the pyramids are a testament to the hard work and dedication of the Egyptian people. The pyramids are one of the most iconic structures in the world, and they wouldn't be possible without the thousands of workers who helped build them. The pyramids are a reminder of the ingenuity and hard work of the Egyptian people, and they continue to amaze people from all over the world. The Great Pyramid of Giza was built by an estimated 20,000 workers over a period of 27 years. It's believed that the pyramid was built as a tomb for Pharaoh Khufu, and it's the oldest of the 3 pyramids at Giza. The construction of the Great Pyramid required a massive amount of labor and resources. Each block weighed several tons and had to be carefully cut and transported to the building site. The workers would then use ramps and levers to raise the stones to the top of the pyramid. Herodotus, the Greek historian who lived in the 5th century BC, claimed that the Egyptians used a workforce of 100,000 to build the Great Pyramid. The construction of the pyramids was a highly organized endeavor that involved a complex supply chain to deliver materials and food to the workers. Inspectors such as Mira were responsible for managing the provisions and materials for the construction project. The Great Pyramid of Giza stands as a testament to the ingenuity and hard work of the Egyptian people. It's believed that the pyramid took 27 years to complete, and it's one of the most iconic structures in the world. So what do you think? What surprised you the most about the pyramids? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content about archaeology, history and current events. The ancient Egyptians were masters at moving huge blocks of stone into place without any modern equipment such as cranes or bulldozers. But how exactly did they do it? To answer this question, experts have put forth various theories over time, some more plausible than others. So let us dive into the fascinating world of ancient engineering and see how the Egyptians constructed their colossal pyramids. One of the most perplexing questions about the pyramids is how the builders moved the massive stone blocks, some weighing over 2 million pounds, to the construction site. One of the leading theories suggests that the workers used sleds to move these gigantic blocks. The path along which the blocks were moved would be moistened with water, possibly mixed with some sort of lubricant, to minimize friction and allow the heavy stones to slide more easily. According to researchers, the idea of using oil for this purpose is not far-fetched. In fact, there is evidence that the ancient Egyptians were aware of natural oil seeps and used oil lamps as early as 3000 BC. It is plausible that they could have used oil as a lubricant for moving stones, especially when water was scarce. However, it's important to note that there is no direct evidence supporting this theory, so it remains a matter of speculation. Moving huge stones is only half the battle. The other half is getting them to the right height. One of the prevalent theories among researchers is that the Egyptians constructed massive ramps to pull the blocks up to higher levels. These ramps would be made of mud bricks and rubble, gradually rising from the ground to the current level of the pyramid. This idea is supported by various pieces of evidence, including ancient texts, depictions on the walls of tombs, and even physical remnants of such ramps found at the Giza Plateau. However, there is a debate regarding the exact design of these ramps. Some researchers believe that the ramps were built externally, forming a straight line from the ground to the top of the pyramid. Meanwhile, others argue that the ramps were more complex, zigzagging around the pyramid and being built internally. These internal ramps would be wrapped around the sloping sides of the pyramid, allowing workers to pull the blocks upward. Interestingly, some experts suggest that these ramps were not just used for moving the blocks up, but also played a role in transporting the blocks to the construction site from distant quarries. This theory is based on the discovery of an ancient quarry at the foot of the Khafre pyramid showing signs of ramp-like structures. If this is true, it would mean that the Egyptians used ramps as a versatile construction tool, employing them not only for lifting stones, but also for moving them over long distances. Another intriguing possibility is that instead of using ramps, the Egyptians might have utilized a system of pulleys and ropes to hoist the blocks to higher elevations. While there is no direct evidence supporting this theory, the use of ropes and pulleys is a testament to the advanced understanding of mechanics possessed by the ancient Egyptians. They were known to have used pulleys in various aspects of their daily life, such as in agriculture and mining, showcasing their ingenuity and problem-solving skills. Furthermore, the Egyptians kept records of their construction projects, including the building of the pyramids. These records often mention the use of ropes and lifting heavy loads, indicating that ropes played a significant role in construction work during that time. In addition to moving the blocks, the Egyptians had to lift them vertically into place using levers. Researchers theorize that the blocks were raised level by level with the help of levers, enabling them to move from one height to the next. For example, if a lever was used to lift a block to a certain height, the same lever could then be used to raise another block slightly higher, and this process would continue until the blocks reached their final destination. This method of using levers to lift and move large blocks is still employed today in various industries such as mining and construction. Therefore, it's plausible that the Egyptians could have utilized this technique to build the pyramids. The ancient Egyptians possessed a wide range of tools, both simple and sophisticated, that they used for various purposes. In the case of pyramid construction, they employed a variety of tools to cut, shape, and polish the massive stone blocks. One of the primary tools used by the Egyptians was the copper chisel. These chisels were used to make precise cuts in the stones, allowing the workers to create intricate designs and shapes. Additionally, the Egyptians used stone hammers to shape and smoothen the blocks, bringing them to the desired size and finish. Granite tools were also employed, particularly for working on granite blocks. These tools were made from hard, durable materials that could withstand the tough granite and produce the necessary precision in the cuts. Dolerite balls were another tool used by the Egyptians. These balls were made from a hard type of igneous rock and were likely used as rollers or to smooth the surface of the stone blocks. Plumb lines were used to ensure that the blocks were positioned vertically. These lines consisted of a weight suspended by a string or cord, which would hang vertically when placed on a flat surface. By observing the plumb line, the workers could adjust the blocks until they were perfectly upright. Set squares were used to measure right angles, ensuring that the blocks were placed accurately and the structure remained stable and symmetrical. These tools were typically made from materials like granite or limestone and had a T-shaped cross-section, enabling the workers to check for 90-degree angles. The construction of the pyramids was a monumental task that required immense precision and accuracy. One of the remarkable feats of the ancient Egyptians was their ability to settle the massive stone blocks without any significant gaps or misalignments. This precision was crucial in creating a stable and long-lasting structure that has endured the test of time. To achieve this level of accuracy, the Egyptians used a mortar made of plaster and sand to settle the blocks as they were placed. This mortar acted as a lubricant, allowing the blocks to settle into their final positions without causing excessive friction or damage to the stone. Interestingly, the use of mortar in this way can still be observed in traditional building methods in some parts of the world. Similarly, modern construction techniques often utilize specialized equipment and materials to ensure precise placement of heavy building blocks. The construction of the pyramids is a testament to the advanced mathematical knowledge possessed by the ancient Egyptians. Before laying the foundation of the pyramids, the workers would conduct a thorough survey of the area to determine the precise location and dimensions of the structure. Using sophisticated surveying tools and techniques, they would measure the land and create a detailed plan for the pyramid, ensuring that it was positioned correctly and aligned with the cardinal directions. This attention to detail and precision was essential in creating a pyramid that would serve as a lasting monument and burial place for the pharaohs. Another remarkable aspect of pyramid construction was the Egyptians' ability to align the structure with the four compass directions: north, south, east, and west. This precise alignment is a testament to their advanced understanding of astronomy and their ability to observe and predict the movements of celestial bodies. The Egyptians likely used the North Star as a reference point to determine true north, and then they used various techniques to align the pyramid accordingly. This alignment not only added to the structural stability of the pyramid, but also held religious significance as it connected the earthly structure with the celestial realm. Building the pyramids was no easy feat. It required an enormous amount of planning, organization, and manpower. The ancient Egyptians employed a skilled workforce consisting of engineers, artisans, and laborers who worked together to complete the construction project. These individuals were not only highly skilled in their respective trades, but also had a deep understanding of mathematics, engineering, and astronomy. They worked in a state-organized manner, ensuring that resources were efficiently allocated and workloads were distributed effectively. This level of organization and cooperation was crucial in accomplishing such a massive project that required years of dedicated work. The construction of the pyramids is a shining example of how human ingenuity, organization, and sheer determination can come together to create something truly extraordinary. By combining sophisticated engineering practices, simple but effective tools, and well-organized human labor, the ancient Egyptians were able to construct these colossal structures that have stood the test of time. The pyramids continue to amaze us with their precision, grandeur, and the mysteries that still surround their construction. And as we continue to explore and learn more about these ancient wonders, we are reminded of the incredible capabilities of our ancestors and the potential of human achievement. How many people do you think it would take to build the largest pyramid in the world? You might have heard that the Great Pyramid of Giza took 20 years and 100,000 workers to build. But where did those numbers come from? What does the science say? How do we know it was a team of aliens using advanced technology to construct this ancient structure? Today we'll dig into how we came up with those mind-boggling numbers, why they might not be accurate, and what the truth might be behind the construction of one of the ancient world's most impressive structures. So grab your hard hat and settle in, because we're about to go back in time to find out if aliens were really involved in building the pyramids. It all started when the Greek historian Herodotus traveled to Egypt in the 5th century BC and wrote down the history of the Egyptians. Part of his work is known as the Histories, and it includes details about the construction of the pyramids. According to Herodotus, the second pharaoh of the 4th dynasty, Khufu, decided to build a huge pyramid as his final resting place. This is believed to be the Great Pyramid of Giza, although there is some debate among historians about which pharaoh is actually buried inside. King Khufu commissioned the construction of the massive structure and appointed someone named Himyunu to oversee the project. Herodotus claimed that Himyunu was the same person who designed the complex system of tombs that can still be seen in the Valley of the Kings today. However, this is disputed by other historians who believe that Himyunu was a real official title, meaning chief architect, and that different individuals held the position during various construction projects. According to Herodotus, the construction of the Great Pyramid took around 20 years and involved a staggering 100,000 men. These workers would reportedly labor for 3 months each year, starting in the month of Thoth, which falls around September in the modern Gregorian calendar. During these 3 months, they would work tirelessly to construct the massive structure. The remaining 9 months of the year, the workers were free to return to their homes and tend to their crops. This practice of working for only a few months out of the year and then taking the remaining time off seems to be another detail that Herodotus gathered from his Egyptian sources. It's an interesting approach to labor, but unfortunately there isn't much archaeological evidence to support this claim. Many modern historians and archaeologists believe that Herodotus may have been misinformed or that the numbers he was given were exaggerated. The theory that the Great Pyramid was built by slaves has also been disproven by recent research. Contrary to popular belief, there is no evidence that slaves were used in the construction of any of the pyramids. In fact, workers' villages and tomb inscriptions suggest that the workforce consisted of paid laborers who were treated well and respected by society. Ancient Egyptian society had a unique approach to labor that differed from the typical employer-employee relationship of modern times. Instead, they believed that people should work on projects that benefited the pharaoh and the state, just as farmers worked their fields and artisans crafted goods. They saw it as a duty to contribute their skills to the community. This way of thinking led to the creation of massive public works projects such as the pyramids, temples, and tombs, as well as the organization of large-scale festivals and celebrations. However, it also meant that workers were not motivated by personal gain or profit, and were expected to work long and hard for little pay. In ancient Egypt, the government would employ people for specific tasks such as building projects or agricultural work. These workers would receive payment in the form of food, housing, and clothing, as well as a small amount of money. While this may not seem like much by today's standards, it was enough to provide for their basic needs and allow them to support their families. Additionally, being employed by the government was considered a prestigious and honorable position. Workers were seen as contributing to the prosperity of the kingdom and helping to maintain order and stability. Overall, despite the low pay and demanding hours, working for the government was a respected and valued profession in ancient Egypt. So how did Herodotus get his hands on this information? Well, according to what he wrote, he learned these details from conversations with Egyptians themselves, specifically priests and guides who were knowledgeable about the history and culture of their country. They told him about the construction methods used to build the pyramid, the materials that were used, and the workforce that was required to complete the project. Unfortunately, we don't know exactly who these priests and guides were or what their motivations were for sharing this information with Herodotus. It is possible that they were eager to share their knowledge with a curious foreigner, or they may have had a vested interest in promoting their culture and history. It is even possible that they embellished the story a bit to make it more interesting for their audience. Regardless of their motivation, the information they provided was invaluable to Herodotus and formed the basis for his account of the construction of the Great Pyramid. However, there are a few reasons why modern historians and archaeologists are skeptical of Herodotus's account. First of all, he was writing over 2,000 years ago, and our understanding of ancient Egypt has greatly improved since his time. We now know a lot more about the logistics of building a pyramid, the capabilities of the ancient Egyptians, and the resources that were available to them. And based on this knowledge, it seems highly unlikely that a workforce of 100,000 men was needed to build the Great Pyramid. Another reason for skepticism is that Herodotus was not an expert on ancient Egypt. He was a traveler and historian who was interested in learning about different cultures, but he was not a specialist in Egyptian history or archaeology. He was basically just a guy who went to Egypt and asked a bunch of locals how the pyramid was built and wrote down what they told him. While this is a valuable first-hand account, it's not the equivalent of conducting a thorough archaeological investigation. Finally, there is the issue of bias. Herodotus was writing for a Greek audience, and he may have had a tendency to exaggerate or embellish the story of the pyramids in order to make it more impressive to his readers. The ancient Greeks were known for their love of all things grandiose and heroic, and Herodotus may have felt pressure to live up to those expectations. Despite the skepticism surrounding Herodotus's account, it is important to remember that he was the first person to record the history of the Egyptian pyramids, and his work laid the foundation for our understanding of these ancient structures. His writings sparked the curiosity of later scholars and travelers, and his stories of the pyramids continue to fascinate people today. Whether or not his numbers are accurate, Herodotus's work helped to preserve the legacy of the ancient Egyptians and their incredible achievements. So what does the science say? Modern archaeologists have developed new techniques and technologies that allow us to study the pyramids in greater detail and accuracy. We've uncovered evidence that sheds new light on the construction methods used, the materials that were available, and the workforce that was involved. Based on this evidence, it's clear that Herodotus's estimate of 100,000 workers is far too high. For example, we know that the workforce peaked at around 20 to 30,000 workers, including skilled craftsmen, laborers, and support staff. We also know that the construction process was carefully planned and organized, with each step of the project requiring a specific set of skills and resources. It's unlikely that a massive army of unskilled workers was needed to complete the project. In fact, the evidence suggests that the workers were highly skilled and experienced, and they likely worked in teams to complete specific tasks efficiently and effectively. To support this idea, archaeologists have found evidence of workers' villages near the construction sites. These villages contained houses, workshops, and other structures that suggest the workers lived there while they worked on the pyramid. The houses were simple but comfortable, and the workers were likely able to support their families while they worked. This is further supported by the discovery of tomb inscriptions that show that many of the workers were proud of their work and saw it as an honor to be part of the construction team. But how exactly did scientists come up with this new estimate? Well, it's a combination of several factors, including the analysis of workers' villages, tomb inscriptions, and other archaeological evidence. For example, by studying the layout and size of the workers' villages, researchers have been able to estimate the number of people who lived there and therefore the size of the workforce. They've also analyzed the amount of material used to construct the pyramids and the tools that were used to quarry and transport it. This has allowed them to estimate the amount of time and effort required to complete each step of the project and therefore the size of the workforce needed to complete it on time. Perhaps the most compelling evidence for a smaller workforce comes from the analysis of workers' tombs. Many of the workers who built the pyramids were buried in simple tombs near the construction site. Their tombs often contain personal belongings such as tools, pottery, and jewelry, as well as records of their work. By studying these tombs, archaeologists have been able to learn about the workers' lives, their families, and their contributions to the construction project. Many of the tombs include the worker's name, their occupation, and the name of the pharaoh they were working for. This information has allowed researchers to create a database of the workforce and to estimate the number of people who were involved in the construction project. Based on all of this evidence, it's clear that Herodotus's estimate of 100,000 workers is far too high. A more realistic estimate is around 20,000 to 30,000 workers at the peak of construction, with the majority of them being unskilled laborers. So what does this mean for our understanding of the pyramids? Well, it means that they were built in a much more efficient and organized manner than we previously thought. It also means that the ancient Egyptians were much more sophisticated and advanced than they were often given credit for. And it suggests that the construction of the pyramids was a massive undertaking that required careful planning, coordination, and management. However, it is important to note that this is still just an estimate, and the actual number of workers involved in the construction of the pyramids may never be known. Unfortunately, due to political instability and security concerns, it's extremely difficult to conduct archaeological research in Egypt today. Many of the country's ancient treasures are at risk of being lost forever. If you want to learn more about efforts to protect these ancient sites, check out our recent video on the Valley of the Whales, an incredible archaeological site in Egypt that's been threatened by illegal excavations and climate change. In this video, you'll learn about the amazing fossils and artifacts that have been discovered in the valley and the work being done to preserve them for future generations. You'll also see how you can get involved and make a difference. So click the link below to watch the video now and join the fight to save Egypt's ancient treasures.